Okay, so this is a poem. I love it, and it's quite a famous poem in the Buddhist tradition, I think. And it's very helpful. And we're going to do a body scan this morning. So I just wanted to start off by talking about the body. So I'll read the poem first. This human body is at peace with it. Sorry, I'll start again. This human body at peace with itself is more precious than the rarest gem. Cherish your body. It is yours this one time only. This human form is one with difficulty. It is easy to lose. All worldly things are brief, like lightning in the sky. This life you must know as the tiny splash of a raindrop, a thing of beauty that disappears even as it comes into being. Therefore, set your goal, make use of every day and night to achieve it. So when he's talking about setting your goal, make every day and night to achieve it, he's not talking about making a career or, saving up for that special thing you want to buy, or becoming a celebrity, or becoming something that is a desire. What he's talking about is living your life with contentment and satisfaction. In Buddhist terms, he's talking about moving to enlightenment. But we can all relate to this as just living our lives in a way that makes us happy and other people happy. We get so caught up in our needs and desires, our misguided thinking that if we're successful in some way, if we earn more money, or we're more famous, or people like us more, in some way that will make us happy. And in reality, that's not true. We start to become happy because it's something that happens inside. It's a coming to terms with who we are, who we really are, not who we think we are, and just settling into a sense of acceptance and love and peace for in the world, and not dropping this need to be successful. We can still be successful, but we tend to grip onto it tightly. So we're relaxing with that and letting go a little bit and just being content. And that is where happiness lies. And it's something that we find, I've always found it hard to understand. I do understand it now, but throughout my life, I've been somebody who chases after things. And that has never worked. It's worked to a limited extent, but it's not really worked. So we're trying in meditation and in spiritual practice generally to just be accepting of ourselves and of the world. And therein lies contentment. So what we're going to do this morning is we're going to just do this journey through the body. And one of my teachers who I was listening to yesterday describes the human, the way we act as human beings as we're like heads with appendages. So we spend all our time in our heads, thinking, feeling, and not just thinking, but feeling that we're up here. And this is where we place ourselves, isn't it? A lot of the time, most of the time, until our body hurts, and then we notice our body. But it's like our body sort of swinging somehow loose around our head. And it's only important if it starts to hurt or fail us. So it's really important that we don't do that, because that isn't helpful. So this practice, the body scan, the body awareness, is about appreciating our body, just moving down from up here, down into the body. And if we can do that, that is the beginnings of contentment. If we can live in our body as well as our mind. It's not that we're trying to shut the mind out, but we're trying to include the body as well. And if we can do that, we become more whole, we become more integrated, and we start to become more content in our lives. And this being in the body is so important when we come to do other meditation practices, because they're all based around being a sense of wholeness. So I don't think I'll say any more about that, because I've said quite a lot, but it's very important. So it's appreciating the preciousness of our body. So we'll begin, and as I say, we're going to do a body awareness meditation. So if you'd like to get comfy, and you can do this lying on the bed, lying in bed if you want, lying on the floor, sitting on a chair, sitting on a cushion, a mat on the floor, whatever suits you, doesn't really matter. So we might begin by taking a few deep breaths, filling the lungs completely, holding the air for a second or two, and then letting go of it all right to the end, and then breathing in again deeply. Just repeating this a few times. Feeling your body relax as you breathe out. And then just breathing normally, not making any effort to breathe now. Just allowing the breath to come and go. And we're probably pretty much in our heads at the moment. So just consciously bringing your attention, your awareness, further down your body to your connection with the earth. So this might be your feet on the ground, on the floor. It might be your body touching the bed or the floor. Your contact with the chair. All these things are connections with the earth. And just allowing yourself to be held. Allowing the earth, or whatever you're sitting on as a part of the earth, to hold you. You don't need to make any effort. You can just let gravity, the pull of gravity, take your weight. And as much as you can, relaxing your mind, relaxing your body. We're going to begin with looking at the face this morning. Face. Often this is where we think we look out of. We look out of the face. This is often how we see ourselves. This is where we would place ourselves, probably. It's not actually true, but we think we're somewhere in the face, in the eyes, looking out. We think we're probably in the head. And that's okay, nothing wrong with that. It's just not quite true. So just noticing what the face feels like. And I would guess that if you really look, you're probably holding the face in some way, presenting it to the world. You might have a frown on your forehead. So if you have, just letting that go, just relaxing the forehead. Letting your eyes be soft behind the eyelids. Not needing to do anything much. And allowing the skin on your face and the muscles to just relax, to sag, to just drop. Relaxing the whole of the face, the forehead, the eyes, the cheeks, allowing the jaw to drop open slightly. There, does that feel a bit better? A bit more relaxed? Try and keep coming back to this area so that when we tense up again, we can relax it again. So going to the top of the head, the crown, you might be able to feel the skin stretched slightly, the sensation of this, the skin stretched over the skull. And if you can, that's great. If you can't, just be open to that. The same down the back of the head. And the neck and the shoulders. So often we have achiness or stiffness, tightness in our neck or shoulders. Just noticing how yours are now, right now. And if there is an achiness or a tightness, you could try moving your head backwards and forwards slightly until it reaches a nice balance on the top of your spine. And the same left and right. And then breathing into any tightness or achiness that you find. Not trying to deny it, actually meeting it, welcoming it in a way, and caring for it. And we can do this imaginatively, or we can do it by breathing into it, also in the imagination, but in a sense we can breathe into this achiness, just letting it relax. Just having a sense of kindness to it. We tend to push pain away, so it's really much more helpful to embrace it, to have a sense of compassion towards it, of kindness. Pushing it away makes it worse, it stiffens us up, it tenses us. Opening up to the pain allows it to be and allows it to moderate and settle. Now we're going to travel down the arms next. Just noticing the upper arms. Can you feel anything there? And the elbows. Quite much harder to feel into bone, I know, but there is a feeling there. You certainly feel them if you knock your elbow. That's excruciating. So there are nerves, lots of nerves in the elbow. And the lower arm, you might feel tingling, warmth, and just moving into the wrist, inside the wrist, the inner wrist. Can you look really closely? And you might just feel your pulse. Beating away. Your sense of aliveness in a way. The heart keeping everything going. Pumping the blood and the oxygen around the body. Keeping all the body in good order. So the pulse is kind of our life force. Can you feel it? Don't worry if you can't. Moving on to the hands. And the back of the hands. You might feel, it can be quite strange feelings on the back of the hands. Sort of a tingling, but a bit sharper, maybe. Hard to describe. Just see what you can feel. It might be different to me. And the palm of the hands. I can feel warmth and slight dampness. And a background tingling. What can you feel? Moving along the fingers, really homing in on the fingers. Just use one hand if it's easier. Just moving along the fingers, right to the fingertips. What can you feel? Probably a lot of tingling. There's a lot of nerve endings in the fingers. Lots of energy, life, activity, tingling, constantly changing. Can you get a sense of that in any way? Moving back up to the shoulders. Before we go any further, just noticing how your face is now. Just noticing if it's tightened up again, if you're frowning in any way, and just relaxing the face again. Just letting any tension drop away. And the same with the shoulders and the lower neck. Maybe on each out breath, as the shoulders drop slightly, just letting any tension go. Just relaxing on each out breath, and then relaxing a bit more on the next one. I'm going to move down the back now, down the spine. Probably quite hard to feel the spine. Can you get any sense of it? You might be better at this than I am. Such an important part of the body. Our neural pathway down the back of the middle of the back, coordinating all our actions. Noticing the muscles on the back. Probably feel them, or you might be able to feel them. Just sort of a feeling of solidity. And the upper back moving slightly as we breathe, rising and falling. Try not to, if you're sitting on a chair, try not to slump forward, just holding the shoulders back to avoid the back aching. And if you have got any aches in the back, the upper back or the lower back, again you could try just breathing into them gently. Almost as if it's this part of the body that's breathing in and breathing out. Having a sense of kindness to the pain, not trying to ignore it. So we're down to the hips now, more bony bits. Can you get any sense of the hips? It is possible. We certainly feel the hips when they begin to hurt. As with all our body, all our bony bits particularly. And just noticing what you can notice. And if that's nothing, that's okay. Moving round to the bottom, to the bum. And you might notice there's a lot of padding on the bum, which we need when we sit down. Keep us comfortable. Sort of shock absorber. And so you can notice this. Can you notice the sitting bones beneath the bum? One on each side. And these give us the solidity when we sit. We just collapse in a heap otherwise. You can usually feel, you might be able to feel the sitting bones. And you're making contact with your bottom on the chair or the bed or the floor. If you're lying down, the whole of the back of you is in contact. So we say that we're touching the floor, we're feeling the floor, but can you notice that actually all the feeling is within you? All the feeling is within your bottom or your back. Whatever you're touching, the feeling is in your body, not in the object that you're touching. And this might seem quite a radical idea, quite surprising, but just notice if that's true. And we're going to move down the back of the legs next. And the upper leg, at the back of each upper leg is the hamstrings, big muscle groups, full of energy and life. Can you feel anything in there? You might get a sense of the bulk of these muscles. Maybe a tingling. And if you can't, just remain open to feeling something at some time. The lower leg, the calf muscles, same thing here. Moving around the ankle. Again, a bony structure, not easy to feel anything. Can you just get a sense of it in some way? Sense of being in the ankle? And the heel of the foot. What can you feel there? Maybe a bit of tingling, warmth. Possibly not very strong. But if you move now down to the sole of the foot and really home in on that, really focus on the sole of the foot, you notice that there's lots of stuff happening there. Or I hope you will. If you can't, just stay open to it. If you can't feel anything much, the more you focus on this area, the more you relax into this area, the more you'll feel the tingling of the sole of the feet. Constant activity, a bit like the hands. Constantly moving. Aliveness and energy. Just running rampant in the soles of the feet. Maybe a sense of warmth as well. Maybe something else. Maybe you can feel other things. Moving round to the toes. What can you feel here? You might need to wiggle your toes. I think some people can feel individual toes. I think that's probably beyond me. I can feel my big toe easily. How about you? And the top of the foot. Again, tingling maybe. Contact with any socks or clothing. And if you've got bare feet, contact with the air on the skin. Moving up to the shin bone. What can you feel there? Anything? And the knee. Is there any sensations in the knee? Even if they're just very, very fleeting or delicate. I think a lot of this is just trying to notice any resistance to any thought that says, oh, I can't feel anything. Well, we have a tendency to do that. If we think we can't feel anything, then we certainly can't. It will stop us, it will get in the way. So we need to stay open to our bodies all the time. And we will discover all sorts of treasures if we do that. Moving to the upper leg at the front, the quadriceps. If you're sitting, these will be slightly tighter, slightly stretched. Otherwise, they might be quite relaxed. And we're arriving at the navel, just below the belly. And when we're moving up the whole of the front of the body, you might notice that this is a place where we feel a lot of different sensations. We can feel the sensations of the body itself, but this part of our body also relates to what's going on in our emotional lives. So when we're feeling anxious, we'll get a churning sensation in the belly and the abdomen. When we're angry, we'll feel a tightness in the chest. And when we're scared, it might be the whole of the front of our body that responds. So the body and mind are very strongly connected. They're not different. We think of our mind as separate to our body. But in fact, what happens in the mind affects the body. And then what happens in the body affects the mind. So with negative emotions, we can get into a vicious circle where we think scary thoughts, say, our body reacts and becomes scary feelings in the body. And then this feeds the mind, so the mind gets more scared, and the mind feeds the body. So we get caught up in this terrible, painful circle, vicious circle of pain and suffering. And this can happen with anger and fear, jealousy, anxiety, particularly anxiety. worry. And it's really debilitating, and it sucks our energy. So when we get into an emotional state, a negative state, a good way of dealing with this is to try and drop the thinking as much as we can. Can't drop it all, but it helps us to come into contact with the feelings in the body, particularly in the front of the body. Come into contact with these unpleasant feelings, this churning or heaviness, this pain in the body. Just to come into contact with it, meet it fully with a sense of kindness, welcoming it, actually welcoming this anxiety, well, not the anxiety itself, but the feeling in the body. So to welcome the tightness or the churning or the piercing pain or the heaviness, turn towards it, make it welcome. Come on in. You are so welcome. Oh dear, you are suffering so much. Let me be with you. Let me care for you. Sounds a bit crazy, but actually meeting our pain as a friend, sitting with it, snuggling up to it, being sympathetic to it, actually helps it a lot, helps it to settle and drop away. And it helps our minds as well to settle. And for the anxiety and the fear, or whatever it is, to moderate. So really having a sense of any sensations in the front of the body. In the belly, in the abdomen, and in the chest. Of course, we get pain in other areas, but our emotional pain manifests a lot in the front of the body. So we're ending with the chest, rising and falling as we breathe. Just allowing ourselves to get lost in that as much as possible. Just noticing our face again and just relaxing that if it needs to relax. And then widening our awareness, taking in the whole of our being. The whole of our mind and our body. The whole of our sense of being me, being ourselves. And for the last few moments, maybe a minute or so, just sitting with this sense of the whole of our being, not trying to do anything, change anything, just being with it as it is right now. And in a few moments, I'm going to ring the bell to bring this meditation to an end. And when I do, as always, taking your time to open your eyes and move your body. There's no rush at all.